Welcome to Branding the Experience. We discuss ways how we can create environments where employees actually want to come to work and customers want to keep coming back. Brought to you by Bator Training and Consulting and Break Ice Marketing.
Here are your hosts, Ken Bator of Bator Training and Consulting and Heather Dowell of Break Ice Marketing. I have Heather Dowell back with me here on Branding the Experience.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, welcome back with the cool new background. That's awesome.
Yeah. Big nice marketing background.
Go figure, a marketing person with a marketing background. Never heard of that.
Yeah, it's surprising, right? Figured
Well,
we do them for everyone else, all our clients. We need to have one too. So
exactly. Well, maybe you could create one for me because I'm just blurring out my messy
that one
office
for
in
the
the
next one
background.
for you, Ken.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. So, and I have an awesome new logo that was created by a terrific marketing firm. I wonder who that was.
No, who was that?
It might have been Break Ice Marketing. Uh, but I want to
We'll make sure
dig.
your logo's on the virtual background that we do.
There we go. Well, I want to dig into literally one of my top five favorite subjects, which is brand associations. I don't think that
Hmm.
marketers, brand consultants talk enough about that. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of business owners, executives that don't have a marketing background don't even think of this, much less know what brand associations are.
Right.
And what I think of, and I have a pretty good chapter on this in the book. I think of brand associations as one of my definitions as your first thought. When people, think of Coca-Cola, what's their first thought? Is it soda, maybe the polar bear or whatever? When
Mhm.
they first think of McDonald's, is it, I'm loving it from back in the day, or, cheap food, or well, it's probably not so cheap anymore. But,
Right.
I think of it as first thoughts. And
Right.
before I go on one of my usual rambles from a marketing expert, tell
Mhm.
us how important brand associations are, and maybe even before that, what's your definition of a brand association?
Well, I think it's exactly what you said. A brand association is basically how what people associate, what emotions are associated with your brand. So
Hmm.
what do they think about when they think about your brand? Is it a warm, fuzzy feeling? Is it they're friendly? Is it that their service level sucks? I mean, what's associated, what's the thoughts that's associated with your brand? Now the importance, and I think you're right, brand association is so important because it's the hardest to change. Once you have a brand association, once you have, people associate one way with your brand, it's hard to change it. So, for an example, if have a brand that, it just has a reputation of having low service,
Hmm.
quality service, bad customer service, or member service if you're a credit union, it's going to be hard to undo that. Whereas the visual part of your brand, which is like the part that most people think of when they think of branding, they think of what we've spoken about before in past podcasts and YouTube videos, is the look, like the logo or the name or the color palette or the fonts. Those are easy enough. I mean, it's a lot of work, but they're easy to change in that one. If you do it right, if you rebrand and you get a new logo and the color palette that goes with it and the fonts, you roll it out successfully. I mean, it's done, right? I mean, you have that
Hmm.
logo that, I mean, make it sound simpler than what it is, but it is a lot easier to change. People start seeing, identifying, okay, here's your new logo, and okay, like you have a new logo. They're going to start seeing that logo and know that's your new logo. But if you're a brand that has, let's just say, bad, service tied to it, you just a reputation, well, they really give you bad service, or they're slow to
Hmm.
respond, or they're outdated, they don't have any of the conveniences. It's going to take longer to change that perception, and it's going to be a lot more work to change that perception. So brand associations is, I would say, just as important, if not more important than your logo or your color palette of fonts or all that.
I mean, obviously, sometimes you have less than a second to attract somebody, so the logo is certainly not important, and as well as color palette. But for a lot of businesses that have been around for a while, and I always think of restaurants, especially when it's first thoughts.
Mhm.
I could think of a couple, here around me where, you know, this kind of ties into the whole brand culture strategy. I
Mhm.
would go to a restaurant that has great service but average food. I mean, you can't have crap food. I mean, if it's gonna make you sick, that's a
Right.
problem. But if I know I'm gonna have a great experience and the food is just okay, I could deal with that. What I can't deal with is outstanding food, and this is where a lot of like these great chefs
Mhm.
that think, okay, all I need is great food, and because I'm a great chef, I'm gonna create a restaurant. But they don't understand business, they don't understand front of the house. It's like you can have the best food ever. If I'm gonna have a crap experience, if the tables are gonna be on top of each other, if I'm gonna have to search for my waitress, when I
Right.
need to refill water, I don't care that it's the best steak ever. I'll go to frickin' Outback Steakhouse and go have a mediocre steak or something that's slightly above average if they have good employees and a good atmosphere there. At least I know what I'm going to get from Outback Steakhouse. So to go to your point, and I'll turn it back to you. Yeah, I agree with you that it's difficult to change brand associations, but it's not impossible. And I
It's
think
not impossible.
it's not impossible, but I think, using my restaurant analogy for a minute, I think
Mhm.
that's where it makes a lot of sense when you see, the big sign that says new ownership. Like, okay, we knew that the old owner was a jagoff, to use my Chicago way of thinking.
Maybe we should give this new one a try. Maybe
Yeah,
they
this
improved, changed. Yeah.
he's gone. So now
Right.
people are like, all right, well, maybe the experience has changed. Well,
Right.
let's do that. Or, you say, hey, brand new menu. You're like, okay, the last menu sucked. Let's go ahead and try this. So there are things that you could do. I actually think that it's easier to change brand association when it comes to things rather than people. People are always more difficult. But talk to that a little bit,
Right. Well, you know what? Real quick though, I want to go back to the food analogy because I don't know, maybe
please.
I don't know, but you were talking about restaurants. So one came to mind for those of you who are from, California, Southern California, or actually they're expanding. I think Tennessee. Do you know where I'm going with this? The
Oh,
headquarters.
In and Out.
In and Out.
Yeah.
So the reason why I go talk about In and Out is because they have a limited menu. I mean, they do. They have some secret things on their menu, but it's basically you got cheeseburger, and you can, or a plain burger, you can get a single burger or a double burger, fries. I mean, it's a very limited menu, but everyone loves In and Out. That's why they're expanding. They're no longer just California and all of that. So I think so many times brands try to be everything to everyone and they
Hmm.
stretch themselves thin and then they become mediocre or not that good to everyone. And then that's part of their brand association. It's the bad quality or they're mediocre, which no one wants to be mediocre, right? No one wants to
Hmm.
have their brand association be mediocre. So I think sometimes it's good to be mindful of that is who is your target audience and what is it that you deliver to that target audience and know that you cannot be everything to everyone. You want to be good, as great, excellent as you can be to your target audience. And not everyone's going to be part of that target audience, and
Hmm.
everyone's going to like you, and that's okay. Because if you try to stretch yourself, then if you're, that's why I said In and Out, they have a limited menu.
Hmm.
They try to start expanding, and that's probably why they haven't, added, I don't know, they don't have veggie burgers, is that? Well, you can get the cheeseburger.
So Heather
You can
Dowell
get the
can't go
cheeseburger.
there?
You can get the cheeseburger, but they don't have vegan burgers. But but no, I mean, if you try to be, something for everyone, your quality might start to diminish. Your service level might just start go down. You might become mediocre. So I think that is an important part to consider as you're thinking of your product offerings and as you're trying to perfect those product and service offerings. Because every brand has a product and service offering, depending on who you are, it might be more service or might be more product. But focus on your target audience and focus on what is it does that target audience want? Because that's going to help you with your brand association.
Yeah, that's so much great stuff to unpack. I think what you said without using the word, and I'm trying not to put words in your mouth, Heather, but what kept coming to my mind was the word niche.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of businesses, especially in the financial arena where you and I have spent a lot of time, or probably better way of putting it, have done a lot of time,
Uh-huh.
uh, is
One
that
time does it sound good, kid?
yeah, I
One
know, but
time. At least I haven't, no.
yeah, I've done some time with some really annoying financial business people. Yeah, maybe that's a whole nother show because they think that it should be finance and then operations and then sales, which is not the case in reality. Anyhow, getting back to the point of niche is to use your example of In and Out. It ironically, not everybody, loves In and Out.
And that's okay.
I
Yep.
actually, as a consumer who, is overweight a little bit, I'm working on that, and who loves cheeseburgers, In and Out actually isn't my favorite cheeseburger.
Mm-hmm.
And from a business standpoint, I love In and Out's brand, and I'll get back to that. But personally, for me, yeah, this speaks to how popular In and Out is. There's one that's almost walkable from my house, and I never go there because there's a line of cars usually that is, backing up Pacific Coast Highway and just pissing me off. But that's again a
Right.
whole nother thing. So it shows how popular they are, and they're popular because this is what we do. We don't do chicken sandwiches. You want a chicken sandwich, go to frickin' Chick-fil-A. They're down the street. Which is another great brand, by the way. We do fresh burgers. We do fresh fries. I think that it's awesome that they actually have real potatoes and you can see them cutting them right there. Everything's fresh. This is what we do. We do just a couple of things and we do it really well. If you want a veggie burger, yeah, that's cool. God bless you, but go someplace else.
Not coming here. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a niche of knowing we do one thing really well or a couple things really well,
Right.
and we're not going to stray from that. And that has created a a rabid, not just, a raving fan following, but I think a rabid fan following. I mean, I'll go travel, and I'm not originally from California, so maybe that's why I'm not an In-N-Out guy. But I'll
Yeah.
go to like Chicago, back home to Chicago, or be in New York, and there'll be somebody that's a transplant going, "Oh, In and Out, you must go there every day." Well, like I don't, but I can understand how you would. But
Yeah.
This has been Branding the Experience. Learn more about Bator Training and Consulting and Break Ice Marketing at www.btcinc.net/marketing.